Welcome to Empower Your Soul, the podcast where we delve into the depths of spirituality with grounded wisdom and real insights. I'm Nicole, your host and guide on this transformative journey. My unique approach to spirituality combines my love of evidential mediumship with my background in business consulting and project management. I have a unique way of breaking down complex concepts into simple steps while removing distractions that hinder your ability to reach your goals. If you're looking for a practical, impactful, and easy to understand approach to spirituality, you are in the right place, and I'm so happy that you are here. Get ready to explore your spirituality in a meaningful and authentic way. The time is now to empower your soul. Welcome to Empower Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, and apologies, I'm slightly under the weather. I'm doing way better, so my voice might be slightly nasally today, but I do want to get this podcast recorded because Spirit keeps tapping me on the shoulder and asking me to record it because this message needs to be heard by somebody who's listening to this. And it's time. Like the energy in the air, they're telling me it's time to get this recorded. So what I want to talk about today is how to communicate with spirit. And this is a very broad statement, but I want you all to know that every single one of you listening to this podcast can communicate with spirit in one form or another. Some of you might be experienced mediums. Some of you might have never imagined that you could communicate with spirits, but I'm letting you know today I'm going to talk about how even at the smallest level, everyone can communicate with their own departed loved ones. And this is going to look differently for everybody else. So for a lot of you that are practicing professionals of the spiritual field and already work with guides and loved ones, this is probably going to be Beginner's 101 for you. I don't know. You might want to listen. You might still get a couple nuggets out of here. But this is mainly geared towards folks that are not sure how to communicate and want to feel closer to their departed loved ones who have passed. So that's kind of who this is geared towards. So I hope you don't mind. I hope I didn't lose a couple of listeners right now. But it's just so important for everybody to know that they do have the connection. Their departed loved ones they're still around you, reaching out to you, sending you signs and synchronicities. And a lot of people are looking for the typical cardinals, dragonflies, butterflies, hummingbirds. And those are amazing, amazing signs from our spiritual team and our departed loved ones. But I want you to know that there's other signs that you are missing from your loved ones. So this is what I want to do today, is kind of talk you through how you can ask for signs and what kind of signs to look out for. And again, you don't need to get a pen and paper out right now. This is all going to be released as a free guide, master guide, I'm calling it, on my website, which is essentially just like a 2-pager, short and sweet, straight to the point cheat sheet that you can reference so that you know how to put these tools into practice and so that you can feel better connected to spirit on a daily basis. So let's get going. And this idea has come from many, many clients and honestly friends and family who have reached out to me asking, how do I know my loved ones around me? I don't feel them. What should I be paying attention to? Why don't I feel them? So I'm going to address all of that in here. But this has been the result of conversations that I've had many times with many clients. And what I've seen are practical ways for them to connect and ways that they can pay attention to the signs their loved ones are sending. So everything I'm going to talk about today is proven. I've said it to clients over and over again. And I can't wait for you to use these tools so that you can connect as well. So I think the first thing I want to start with is, what's the process look like? And then I'll talk about some nuances in it. And again, I'm a process person, so I'm going to break it down into easy steps for you to listen, to understand and complete this. So number one, everyone can do it. So get out of your own head, please. Everyone can ask for signs from their departed loved ones. They're all around you waiting, wanting to send you signs. So number one, if that's your barrier, Knock it off. They're there. I promise. Just try it. Trust me and see the results. But the first thing that you need to do when wanting to connect to departed loved ones is set the intention. So ask for a specific loved one to come forward and bring a sign that they're around you. You can do this out loud. You can do this in your head. It really doesn't matter, because as long as the intention is there, then your departed loved one is going to hear that intention. And naturally, I'm going to say other departed loved ones are going to step back and I'm going to say stop giving you signs temporarily, so that you know that that sign is from the person that you were requesting. Pretty rad, huh? Next up, after you set the intention that you want a specific loved one, you're going to actually ask for signs. So you aren't going to leave it open, although you can ask for any sign as long as you can recognize it's from that person, something that's unique to them. But you can also ask specific signs. Yeah, this can be interactive. So you can ask them, and we'll go through some examples of what are things you can ask for, but you can ask them for specific things. But you can also, in addition to that, ask them questions. You can say, show me, I'm going back to the originals. Show me a cardinal for yes, and show me a butterfly for no, right? And whichever one you see first is the answer to the question or the advice that you're looking for. I mean, I wouldn't ask them complex questions. I would probably keep it to yes or no, or choice one or choice two, just so it's easy for spirit to make sure they're delivering it very clearly and concisely for you. But isn't that cool that you can actually ask for signs, for answers from your departed loved ones, to let them to still ask and keep the communication alive and ask for feedback and advice, because I think that's pretty cool too. The next step after you set the intention and ask is to literally release all your expectations. So you need to let go and let spirit work. What this means is that you need to wait for the signs to appear. It's almost like you need to forget that your request was even put out into the universe and wait. It may take a few days for this sign to show up in your life. And you also need to be open to receiving this sign in any format that you receive it in, including ways that you don't expect. So the classic I like to always tell my clients and my students is it's like a giraffe. Okay. I live in New England. There's maybe one or two zoos nearby that there are giraffes. So if I'm asking for a physical giraffe to appear in person for me, there's no way for spirit to deliver that. Like, it's just not going to happen. But if I ask for a giraffe, they may have it show up in different ways, such as seeing it on a post on social media while I'm scrolling through it. My daughter might have a friend that comes over that has a giraffe on their shirt. I might be shopping at a gift store and see a giraffe figurine in the window, for example. So these are all ways that you almost need to be open to spirit delivering these signs for you. So it's almost like asking them for the what. I want this thing. I want the giraffe, the what, and leaving it up to the how with them. So again, wait, be open, release all expectations. So you want to forget about it. And then the last step is really, once you receive that sign, and you will, how do you know that it's from them? And this all really comes down to trust. There's a few different ways that you can, I'm going to say, what's the right word I want to use? Apologies for the pause, but I want to say, if I could just get my words together. Okay. And once you receive the sign, this is where step 4 comes in, because you'll receive it in one way or the other. It might not be in the way that you expect, and we'll troubleshoot that in a little bit. But how do you know that it's from them? And a lot of this comes down to trust. So you may get some physical signs in the moment. You might think of the person in the moment. You might get goosebumps. You might get like tingles throughout your body, and there's other things that can maybe go on. You might feel hot, you might feel cold. But I will say that you need to trust when you receive the sign that it's from them, because the more that you trust it and the more that you thank them for the sign that they sent, the more likely they're going to send you more signs, and the more likely you're going to be open to receiving more signs. So it's a very, very important step. I know that it's a leap of faith for a lot of people because a lot of people can reason their way out of all of these things. Every sign you receive, you can reason your way out of, but you need to trust in spirit and trust that your loved ones are reaching out. And it's almost like maybe the one sign's a fluke, but if you ask for two more after that and they deliver two more, is it a fluke anymore? So again, think about the big picture here and not about the individual moment of receiving these signs. That's kind of how spirit works. So I've been talking about it. I mean, it's super easy, right? It's not hard. Like, set your intention, ask for signs, wait, and trust. That's essentially what it is to work with spirit. So now I want to talk about how spirit communicates. And I'm not talking about the clairs. That's a whole other level. Instead, I'm going to say, how does spirit communicate in a way that integrates more with our physical experience here in our meat suits on the human plane, on the earthly plane. So I'm going to give you a bunch of examples. I'm going to walk through real examples as well. As I'm talking, you might think about other examples that you've experienced. So I'm going to say, as I list these, be open to thoughts or pictures that might pop in your head, or feelings, like feeling, again, this feeling of warmth, these goosebumps. And this is spirit like actively sending you communications in forms of your physical body. And we'll talk about that. Letting you know, pay attention. This is real. This is how I'm sending them to you too. So first up, I'm going to talk about unexpected physical objects. So we all know we have feathers. We have cardinals. We're going to talk about that next. We have pennies, but these are signs spirit sends us all the time. But what I think is so unique is when spirit sends a physical object that reminds you of your specific loved one. This is the way I really encourage spirit to show up in my life. It's great to send me a cardinal, but grandma loved tea. And I would love it if you could send me things related to tea. These kinds of things where it's personal to them. An example I like to give is my grandfather likes to show up with his very, very old car. He loved his car. He lived to go for Sunday drives. I see his car randomly, and it's not a new car, it's a very old car, but he'll send me his car to let me know that he's around him. Pretty cool, right? So this is what I'm talking about, is seeing physical signs from your departed loved ones that remind you of them. So pay attention to those. Next up, kind of got there already, is birds and animals. So we all, again, see the cardinals, the butterflies, the dragonflies, and these are signs of your loved ones. But again, make it personal, make it unique. So if your departed loved one, I'm going to say, likes frogs, and you suddenly have frogs all over your house and with no explanation for it, this is your departed loved one coming by. If I have an aunt that was obsessed with those pink flamingos that go in your front yard, she was not a swinger, that I know of. But if you see the pink flamingos, if I see the pink flamingos, I always think of her, not swingers. So this is what I'm talking about here, people. This is what I'm talking about, is bring it, make it personal. Make it personal. Next up, I'm going to say music is a huge one. And I might spend a little bit of time here because regardless of your loved one's musical preferences, spirit shows up so many times and in so many different ways with music. So they may send you an artist they liked or a genre of music they liked, right? That maybe you unexpectedly hear out of nowhere. You might also be listening to a song and they can send you the messages through the lyrics. So I know you have all been in the car having either a playlist on or the radio on, and a random song pops up that you've never heard of, and it gave you chills, and you're like, wow, that was for me. I was meant to hear that. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Spirit can use music so effectively, not only because it has the words that they want to say, because it's a lot more difficult to send words through people, right? It's because we have a brain, we're biased. We won't go up to random people just saying random things, but music has a lot of different musicians and artists who have different words and sayings and feelings, and it's a lot easier for spirit to work through music. So they'll send you music. They'll send you songs that you need to hear the lyrics of. In addition, music has a vibration, right? And music's vibration tends to be higher than us, higher than the human experience, which is why we listen to it and we feel really good. So it helps us pull out of our low moods, our low vibration, and bring us closer to spirit. So music is such an effective tool for us to raise our vibration and make it much easier to connect with spirit, number one. And then they'll send you the messages through the music too, number two. So again, music is a fantastic way to pay attention to spirit. And while I'm on the topic as well, I do want to highlight that earworms, the songs that get stuck in your head for no reason, out of nowhere, and they play over and over again, 9 out of 10 times that's spirit sending me something. So whenever I hear those earworms that are stuck in my head, even as annoying as they are, I pay attention to what words am I saying over and over again. If it doesn't resonate with me, I'll go to who's the artist, or I'll go to what's the rest of the song. A really cool example that came to me is after a group demonstration, I kept getting like Amy Winehouse in my head over and over and over again. And I'm just like, I love her. Haven't really listened to her for a while, but I'm like, all right, spirit, I will put Amy Winehouse on. So I put Amy Winehouse on. It's shuffled in my music, and I put the song on that they have me playing in my head, and I'm like, this doesn't resonate at all. What are you doing? I don't understand. And they told me to wait. Well, of course, I have the advantage of hearing them in my head, but I just rolled with it. And about 2 songs later, there was a song by Amy Winehouse that I had never heard before. And everything in the song related to the messages from the demonstration in like really cool, unique, fun ways. So again, spirit was using music to help me highlight that I'd done a good job that night, I guess. But help as like a thank you from the spirits. And this happens a lot in demonstrations. I'm sure that'll be another episode. But again, they will use music to get messages across for you so that you feel more supported, loved, and aligned. That's how they do it. Next up is, it's a big bucket, but names, initials, and numbers. But it's really simple because you might receive or hear or see a loved one's names, initials on social media, in conversations, on license plates, etc. So pay attention to those. Those are very, very obvious cues from your departed loved ones that I'm here. They also might send you your own initials, by the way, which is also, in my mind, the same thing. They also just like say, hi, I see you, I'm with you. You might also notice numbers related to a date or time for that specific departed loved one. So for example, if I see 227, my grandmother was born, and fun fact, also died on her birthday, which is February 27th, right? So if I see a 227, I'm like, hey, Helen, how's it going? Yeah, I don't call her grandma, call her Helen. So that's what I'm talking about. So pay attention to the numbers, and it would be numbers that are obvious to you. Don't like be like, oh my God, Nicole, now I need to go and, memorize all of my dead loved ones' birthdays. That's not what I mean. It would have to be something that's in your recollection, in your field of knowledge. So if you don't know about it, then don't worry about it. Don't stress. But I would say pay attention to those names, these initials, the numbers, and we'll talk more about what those could mean when you do receive them. Next up, dreams. This is like a big abyss, a big bucket, but I'm just going to keep it really high level right now and just say that when you have your departed loved ones visit you in a dream, it tends to be a visitation dream. But I will say it should leave you warm and fuzzy. It should feel good. Visitation dreams generally feel good, or you at least feel neutral. If you are dreaming of a departed loved one and it doesn't feel good, or it's a scary scenario, know that they tried to step in, but your brain and ego got in the way. So don't think that something bad's happening to them if you see them in a dream and it's a bad dream. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they tried to come in and your brain took over. So just know, even when you see them, it's still a wink from them, regardless of how the dream feels. But if they are truly there and talking to you and having this amazing experience in the dream, it is absolutely a visitation dream, and cherish it. Cherish it. I don't get those. I wish I did. I get them for other people's departed loved ones, but not my own. It's freaking weird. Next up, and this one happens more commonly than I think most people realize, but unexplained smells. Like unexplained smells. So you might notice a totally random smell that reminds you of your departed loved one out of nowhere. And there'd be no reason for you to receive this smell. None. That's what I'm talking about. Spirit will send you random smells and then it's gone within seconds. So an example I have is one of the first readings I ever did. I had a departed grandfather and he showed up with the smell of cigars. And I was alone in my house. I'm not a smoker. No one in my house is a smoker, but the smell of cigars filled the room. The windows were open and that smell was so strong. I was not expecting it to be that strong. So I literally thought somebody walked by my house with a cigar. That's how strong this smelled. So I got up, I looked out the window, I'm looking around, there was no explanation for the cigar smell, and then it was gone. It was completely gone. So this is what I'm talking about. This happens more times than you think. And I think it's probably one of the coolest ways spirit shows up for sure. And lastly, what spirit will also do to communicate with you is make you feel like there's a presence near you or that someone's around you. So this can, again, look very differently for many of you, but you might feel warmth. You might feel like someone is standing next to you, but not touching you, that electric energy that you might feel when someone's really close to you. You might get tingles all over your body, goosebumps. You might feel like you're being watched. You might also even get a feeling like someone is touching you or touching your clothes. An example that I've had is having someone sit on the bed next to me and there's no one next to me, right? It's spirit. That happened at a hotel in Chicago. That was fun. Pretty sure that wasn't my family and friends on the other side. So those are different ways that spirit will communicate with you. So be on the lookout. You can ask for any of those specific signs and or be on the lookout of any of those specific signs that your loved ones are sending you. And I know that's a little broad, but there you go. So in terms of what happens after you see the signs, a lot of people jump to, well, what do they mean? What do they mean? What are they trying to tell me? Why am I seeing 444 everywhere? Why am I seeing 1111? Why do I keep seeing a praying mantis, right? So these are all, I'm going to say breadcrumbs for spirit, but I say above all, I just want to mention that spirit messages always, always, always come from love. These are messages of love, support, saying hello, saying I'm with you, you're loved, you're supported, I'm proud of you. These are always positively intentioned messages of love and support. You might also just see more signs around you for major life events, milestones, birthdays, marriages, anniversaries, etc. So again, they're going to send you signs to say, I'm here in this moment with you. What spirit will never do is send you signs to scare you, make you nervous, or warn you about upcoming events that to warn you that something's happening, right? They don't send you signs for these things. Maybe they do, or maybe it's a coincidence, but they don't use signs to invoke a negative reaction. I think that's where I want to differentiate it. They don't invoke signs to invoke, they don't create signs or send you signs to warn you something bad's going to happen. They just don't do that. That's not how they work. They also will not send you signs to tell you what you should be doing and make the decisions for you. Again, there's a reason why my podcast is called Empower Your Soul, is because I truly believe that the spirit world is here to support us in whatever our endeavors are. So if we are asking them to make the decision for us, we are essentially taking away our own empowerment in decision making here in the physical world. So I'm always of the person that says they can tell you what's best for you, but they will never tell you what you should do or what decision you need to make. So again, if you're receiving these signs and your response is fearful, or your response is, I need to do this, Spirit's sending me the sign that I need to do this, I want you to tell you that you're probably receiving those signs, but again, your brain and your ego is taking control and you need to stop. Like, don't take those signs and interpret the meaning and do what you think you need to do. These are not messages that are coming from the signs are coming from your loved ones, but the messages are not coming from your loved ones. They're coming from your ego and your brain. So I would say Spirit is most likely going to bring back, stop sending signs, send them in less frequency until your brain and ego can step out of it and you can receive it from a neutral or positive, loving space. So I hope that helps. And before I close this out, I always hear clients ask me or come to me with a problem that they're having trouble receiving signs or feeling like their loved ones are not with them. So let's address that real quick, because number one, your loved ones are always with you. And I know, they have things to do on the other side too. They're probably busy as well, but know that when you need them, they are there. So they are with you. So don't walk into the conversation, the situation saying they're not here, they're not around, because they are. And if you're coming from that fear-based, again, perspective, or that deep-seated grief where you don't feel them around you, you're automatically creating resistance in your energy to connect with them. So the more you can move through and out of that grief energy, that fear-based energy, and know confidently that your loved ones are with you, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to see these signs and make it easier to connect with them. So again, move out of the fear, move out of the grief that is stopping you from being able to connect. I would also say, if you're having trouble seeing signs, what are you asking for, right? Because 9 times out of 10, they're asking for either very specific signs or they're asking for signs that are going to make Spirit very difficult to be able to deliver this. So an example I like to say is, in the beginning of my spiritual journey, because no one taught me this stuff, I asked my guide, who shows up as kind of like a magician, to show me the old Sword in the Stone, Merlin. I'm like, if this is you, I want to see that old little short guy with the hat on, with the stars on it. You know what I'm talking about, the big beard. If you're a Sword in the Stone fan, that was the era I grew up in. And I said, send me that dude. But what I didn't realize is that I needed to make space for my guides to work, because there was no way in heck that they were going to be able to deliver that character to me, because it is so far out of societal norms, memories, all these different things. You just don't see that guy anymore, that character anymore. So I didn't make space for them to deliver that specific thing. They did send me a Merlin. It just wasn't the one that I asked for and the one that I expected. So again, you need to lower your expectations, or assess what you're asking for, and making sure that it's realistic, that it gives space for Spirit to work. And you're just giving them the what you want and not how to deliver it or when to deliver it. So again, you need to broaden your request, start big, and then as you're getting more trustful with Spirit and you're seeing the signs and you know it's from them, then you can start asking, I'm going to say, for a little bit more specific, but you always need space for Spirit to work. Lastly, if you feel like you're not seeing the signs or they're not around you, I would say a lot of this comes from our ego brain and judging and reasoning away what we are seeing. And this was, again, very important that I mentioned earlier, but you can reason your way out of any spiritual sign, any of them. And I know that. And that's what makes this work so complicated, is that your brain can find a way to make it false, right? But in the same light, your brain can also find a way to make it true. So I would say trust your intuition and embrace the signs as, again, these loving gestures from your departed loved ones. Let go of the skepticism and open yourself up for deeper connections and meaningful messages from your loved ones. Because the more you say, thank you, I see that sign, here's another one, and you ask for it over and over and over again, that's when you're going to realize this is not just a coincidence. They show up, and they show up every single time. That being said, these are all examples of how to, I'm going to say, be more open to the signs and feel like your loved ones are around you. However, there are instances where if you are still having trouble to connecting with a departed loved one, going to a professional evidential medium will definitely help. This will really allow you to know that your loved one is still with you by using a professional that is trained in the tools to connect to departed loved ones. And they may also be able to give you specific ways that your departed loved ones show up for you and what kind of signs they're sending to you. Not all mediums do it. If that's what you want, just ask at the beginning of the session. Make sure you're setting that expectation with them that you want to know what signs they're sending. And in an ethical medium will sure as heck try for you. While we're here, I know we had a podcast episode about frauds and charlatans in this space, but I just want to reiterate, your loved ones are never stuck here. You never have negative attachments. So if you go to a professional and they're using the word stuck or they're using the word negative attachments, run. That medium, that professional is not for you. That professional is, in fact, a charlatan trying to get more of your money. So I just want you to know that your loved ones are always, always, always safe in heaven or safe in the spirit world after they pass. So there you have it. These are all ways, the tools, the process, the troubleshooting that you can connect to your own departed loved ones on the other side. And again, a lot of this information is reiterated on that 2-page master guide available on my website. Just head over to mediumnicole.com. I'll put in the show notes too, the link directly to it, but mediumnicole.com, and it's right on there. And not only will I provide you this 2-page guide, but I will also follow it up with real stories about how I am connecting to my departed loved ones and also how I'm seeing my clients being able to connect to their departed loved ones so that you're never out of loop and you're always like learning and reinventing ways for you to have and create that personal connection with spirit, because they're all still there. All of our loved ones are still watching over us, hanging out with us, witnessing our big events, our milestones, and they want you to know that they're there. So know that this is a communication that never really stops. Once you start seeing the signs, you're not going to be able to stop seeing the signs. And I'm really excited for you to start really connecting in a more meaningful and trusting way with those of you that have loved ones in the spirit world. I hope this helps. I really, really appreciate your time. And I just want to thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode and hopefully empowering your soul a little bit to continue those connections. That's all I had for today. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Empower Your Soul. If this content resonated with you in your journey, I invite you to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please send me an email at podcast@mediumnicole.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, remember that you are made of unlimited potential and infinite possibilities. Embrace your power, trust in your abilities, and empower the soul within you. Take care.